Hello. In this video, I'd like to discuss some of the trends that have been observed in the May PMI Flash Index. The key observations from the May index are that the PMIs still remain resolutely below 50. The good news is that for service activity, for manufacturing output, and for the manufacturing PMI, the index is starting to move up from the record low levels that were recorded in April. As I suggested in previous videos, we can expect some pretty poor economic data, in fact, some exceptionally poor economic data at this point in the cycle. So please don't be surprised when GDP figures are released for April and May that suggest that the UK economy is dropping by record amounts in terms of total output. We'll see similar figures for North America and for Western Europe. And indeed, in the last number of days, we've seen what some might think are alarming figures suggesting that the UK economy may shrink by about 12% this year in terms of output and GDP. But frankly, these are numbers that we expected at the beginning of the crisis. These numbers are playing out. The danger is that they start to impact our confidence. But what we now need to do is start looking forward and start looking at those indices that give us an indication of the level of activity going forward in the UK economy. To that end, the increase in the manufacturing PMI, although still at very, very low levels at 40.6, is encouraging news. What this is tending to suggest is that looking forward, purchasing managers are starting to make more plans to expand their activity than they were at the end of April. This improved figure is associated with those manufacturing businesses which have had to produce output in the pandemic, in the health service, online services, technological services, because there's been an increase in demand for what it is that they produce during the pandemic. But what we are also starting to see is a number of organisations spending money, getting inventory in, starting to buy goods and services which are going to allow them to resume activity once the lockdown is removed. So we're now starting to see people preparing for the economy going forward. Whilst I'm not suggesting that there is going to be a rapid return to the levels of activity that we enjoyed in 2019, what we're now going to start seeing is the economy recovering from the depths of the recession. This will still be a hard year, but we do have to start looking at those indicators which are leading indicators, indicating what people expect to happen going forward. So we must critically keep an eye on the PMI indicators as they give us a good barometer of what purchasing managers' expectations are and the amount of confidence that they have that activity is starting to re-emerge, and therefore they need to start buying in supplies to allow their businesses to respond to the resurgent demand. In terms of prices and input prices in the economy, the Flash PMI index also noted that in some instances prices are going down, most notably in terms of wage costs and also in terms of fuel costs. But there are areas where people are seeing higher prices, most notably in terms of freight. Okay, finding alternative suppliers has been an issue for some of our supply chains, as our supply chains outside the UK have faltered and we've not been able to find alternative suppliers inside the United Kingdom. And then finally, the United Kingdom has suffered slightly because of the depreciation in sterling, and insofar as we are able to source supplies from Europe and wider afield, those prices have increased because of the depreciation of sterling. So we have to expect some bad data. We have to start looking for those indicators that are going to give us a sign that the economy is starting to emerge from the depths of the recession. And when we have to hold our nerve, these bad figures are expected. They're not news in the sense that they were unexpected. And we now have to start looking forward and preparing for the new normal and the re-emergence of economic activity over the summer and into the winter of 2020. As before, if there are any questions that you've got, please feel free to contact me and the team at CIPS, and we hope that you, your employees and your families are keeping safe and well.